Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to speak to your organization. So, like Cindy said, I've been in the field for 21 years, but 11 years before that, I was in corporate and investment banking. And my first job coach taught me start with the end in mind. And when I worked for him, I worked in in the investment bank where we had to do staff meetings, operations, and there I found that I was really good at operations. And so when I had to start my childcare center with my sister because I got laid off, we found that we made the perfect pair. She had the expertise in early ed, and I had the expertise in business, and we paired them together. And so I still come into that, start with the end in mind when I do things. And so when I thought about the business, I just started it as a job. So I started Scribble Time as a job. And then I got a few years into it and realized that when childcare center owners and directors, program managers, family childcare, when you go to school to do what you do, they don't teach us the business side. And so as you see this little girl on the screen, she's now 24, but when she was 3 at this age, I opened my center. And I found out really quick that she was not prepared for the group environment. And she really struggled because she has ADHD, anxiety, like all the things. And my goal when I started meeting childcare center directors was to help them get back in the classroom so they could help the kids like Gabby. So I'm here today because the Directors Club was started. It's a training program that I offer, a community, with the end in mind that I want to get more childcare center directors out of the office. I give you easy tools, and I'm hoping today that I provide you with something that's very valuable to your time and to your team. And I also have a podcast called the Early Education Teachers Lounge to help your staff, and I'll show you how I use it. So when I started in childcare, I went to go to have a staff meeting, and I want to just quick back up before I start. I have the chat open, so if you have questions, you can ask me, or if you want to unmute and ask me, you can feel free, but I'll be monitoring that. So I want this to be interactive, and if I say something that you want a question or want some ideas on, stop me, and I'll pay attention. So when I got into childcare, no one was doing staff meetings. And I'll tell you, when I go on the road and I go into childcare centers, they don't always have them. And we'll get through how to have them. But the reason why you want to have a staff meeting is you want to bring the team together. It is so difficult to operate a childcare center or be in a family care, and you're in it. You can't really meet, you can't really have good conversations. The kids are sleeping, the kids are playing, you're trying to get things cleaned and done. And we want everybody to understand what our vision is for our child care center. So really think about the power of the staff meeting. So it brings you together. It 100% strengthens the culture. And I'm going to tell you a quick little story that when I first started having staff meetings, everyone complained about coming, and then it got better because it's a great time not only to build the culture and build relationships inside your center. So I do this thing that I'm going to teach you in a minute called collaboration at my staff meetings. And it can be on any topic, but this one time it was about your biggest struggle. So one of our toddler teachers came in and she had a child with 8 allergies. So anytime the kids ate was an issue, and he would run around the room. It was just all these problems. And so we tried everything, literally everything you can imagine. And we just kept pecking away at it. And so one day she walked up the hallway to me and she said, "We found the solution. This is working." And I was like, "What is it?" But I don't remember what it was now, but it was something to protect him so that he wouldn't touch other kids' foods. And so I said, "Oh, how'd you think of that?" And she said, "Oh, Alicia came in." Now, Alicia's a pre-K teacher, doesn't work with the infants at all. They're both leads. They don't see each other during the day. But Alicia went into her classroom on her lunch break and said, "Julie, what about this?" And it worked. And these staff meetings are so powerful because you can create an environment where you're building teams, you're strengthening your culture, you're building those relationships. And let me tell you, if you're teaching them in your staff meetings, they're going to not ask you so many questions during the day. But before I get into it, I just want you to know that I know that it's difficult to have a staff meeting. It's so important in Massachusetts. We have to have staff meetings once a month for 2 hours. And like I said, I go visit centers, and they don't have them because they don't know when to have them. It's very difficult to afford it. And this is I know that we talk about advocacy in this group. This is one of the numbers I share with legislator. I tell them how much it costs me to have a staff meeting. If you're a CPA, you can just have a staff meeting in the middle of the day. But if you're a child care center, we have to pay for a staff meeting, which is fine because it's worth it, but it is a barrier. And you don't have anything to talk about, or you forget what you're going to talk about. So we're going to go through that today. So I always have a staff meeting the same day, same time every month. Mine is Tuesdays, the second Tuesday of every month from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Provide some food and 2 hours of an engaging, hopefully, curriculum for them to go through. So I like to look at staff meetings because we're all probably doing many of these features. You're probably having a staff meeting and everyone's coming in and you're going through your agenda. And I always have on my agenda, shut the door on the trash container outside so that the squirrels and birds don't get in and jump out at us, right? You just might go through this list of things that you want them to change, do, or remember. Sometimes we also do some professional development. And I'm going to get into all these in a little bit in more detail so you can see exactly how you can apply these. But I also like to apply team meetings, collaboration, always end every meeting with some type of fun or celebration. And I think staff meetings are the perfect time for leadership development, because what often happens is that you can develop your lead teachers to help take some of the workload during the day off your plate if they're mentoring your team. So where do I find the topics to talk about? I always, if you know me, I'm going to hold it up. I keep a notebook. And in one of my notebooks, I have a tab. And in the tab, I just write things down. So as I'm walking through the center and I notice something, I'm like, oh, that would be a good thing to talk about at a staff meeting. And I just document them all in one place. And you have you'll get from the organization when it's over, my staff meeting training. You can get all of this printed. Yes, Augustina, you can get the deck that I'm doing, and the staff meeting agenda and the staff meeting training plan for the whole year. So I like to start off the year with what are people's annual goals? So we're about to do our annual reviews. We do them at the end of the school year. So they're done in June here. And from that, I'm going to extract all 34 of my employees' goals from there. What are they working on? What are they lacking? Where did they score low on their performance review? I'm going to keep that list because that is excellent things to be talking about at a staff meeting. Again, I keep a running observation page in my notebook. I always on my phone, if you come on my phone, I have the strangest screenshots that I save into an album for staff meetings that I'm like, oh, that was a good topic, or that's a good way to explain something. And I just keep everything in a file, so it's super easy to get to. I just slipped the slide. So how you look at it is if you have a 2-hour staff meeting, and if you can do this where you are I do it 6 to 9 p.m. I know a center in Texas, actually, she starts hers at 4. So once a month, she shuts down at 4 o'clock instead of 5:30. So find a way that you can schedule it consistently where your staff knows it's expected that they're there. You do have to pay them to be there. I provide some food so that they want to come, and then all the good things. So at every staff meeting, I've told you I have 6 components, and I'm going to get into these. I always have these 3, no matter what. So I might spend half hour on administrative topics. Those are the little things that you want to go over. Reminder, we have benefits enrollment. Reminder, we have, we're all getting our pictures taken next Thursday. Whatever your normal administration things are. The second thing that I find to be one of the most critical things that I have done that has helped my team over these years is have a team meeting. So every month, our team leaders from every classroom, they all go to make an agenda for themselves, and they have a team meeting. So the lead teacher of pre-K, she'll come up with an agenda. She'll share it with the director that she reports to, and they kind of collaborate on who do I need to have in this team meeting. So let's say pre-K wants to talk about rest time. Maybe they're struggling at rest time. So that's what they're going to talk about. But one of them's always at lunch during rest time. So they're going to ask the program director, hey, can we have the float that covers us to come with us? And we want to meet with them. And so it gives the team leader of the classroom or the lead teacher an opportunity for them to really I went to go in the chat and I just did that. It gives everybody an opportunity to like talk about be in charge of a meeting. You're really developing a leader during that time. They have to run a little 15-minute agenda, collaborate with her team. So it really helps build leaders. And the third thing is always end it in fun or celebration. So I always like to end every meeting with just like really pepping them up and giving them some things to talk about. All right, so I'm going to stop for 1 second and address a couple things. Someone's company no longer allows you to buy dinner for meetings. I totally get that, right? It is frustrating, but maybe everyone can bring their own snack. Maybe you could ask the parents to pitch in. I don't know if that's something that would be allowed. Like, oh, we're having a meeting this month. Is any parents, my parents love to deliver food to us all the time, which is nice. You could ask something like that. And you struggle with getting your staff to come to meetings. So that once they start having these meetings and you're going to see how they really benefit them, they're going to want to come, I hope. So the next piece of this is that then you have a 2-hour staff meeting. So this kind of takes up an hour, the admin piece, the team piece, and a little bit of fun. The rest of it, it gives you time to collaborate. It gives you time for professional development and leadership development. And I'm going to show you how to get into that. So again, the first step, the first component of the 6 steps, because you're not putting all 6 in the meetings, is administration. So you're going to do like I said, do all your different topics, share policies, any upcoming events. The next component, again, is the team meeting. So they're going through their meeting. They're talking about their struggles during the day. And what happens when these meetings is we're talking about the bad things, right? We're talking about struggle we have, how we're stressed out in the classroom, things that are bothering us that aren't working well. And this is a good thing. Because what happens when you create this culture that it's okay to come to a staff meeting and have these conversations, you begin to develop a culture of problem solvers, people that want to help each other out, people that want to cheer each other on. Those are the kinds of things that you'll be seeing out of this, and they'll want to come to your staff meeting. I just did a survey of my team in October, and we had like trainings we had to do in the fall. It was a back to school night, so we didn't have a staff meeting. We did an event for that. And in October, when I did the staff meeting, like we just missed this 2 staff meetings in a row because of things we had going on. And in the survey, they all wrote, I miss the collaboration. Like we haven't had it in 2 months. And it just shows you how important this is. So a collaboration piece in your staff meeting is not something you have to think about. You don't have to really like, oh, I got to get all this stuff ready now to host a staff meeting. You can just think about ways to share ideas and best practices. You could have someone like, say you are, this is a good example. Every year, the first progress report for the children come out in December. And we get them written and handed in to us. And then in January 1st, we hand them out. Well, my first year, they were written so badly by all the teachers. Like, I don't think they knew what they were doing. I obviously didn't know what skills they had at the time because I just opened 21 years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should have done this at a staff meeting. So every November at my staff meeting, we break out into small groups and we'll probably do like tables of 5 or 6 people. So I'll probably have like 6 tables. And at each table, I'm going to put my best progress report writer at. So I pick my top 6, put them all at a table, and then I give them blank progress reports. And I'm like, okay, let's start. Everyone grab a progress report, even the floats, like everybody gets to participate and give feedback to the lead and the co-teacher in that room of a certain student because they all know everyone. And we'll sit there and we'll practice writing them. And that person that's in charge of the table is giving in the moment feedback. And they're talking through these progress reports. It's going to check the, okay. So then think about it. Then the next time the progress report, so if I do this in November, they begin writing them in December and handing them in, you're going to start seeing a better progress report coming in that's going to reduce your time and it's going to be more impactful to the students when they get it. Collaborations can be, I don't find them helpful if you do your whole center together. I find them in smaller group, people respond better. And there's a lot more talking. No matter where I go, that happens. If I'm doing large group collaborations, they don't talk, so I have to break them up. So I find that they do much better. So if you can think of ways, like another one that's a great collaboration is, you have to tell them before they show up at the staff meeting, but in the week reminder, I'll say, oh, next Tuesday we have a staff meeting. We're going to be collaborating on our biggest struggle right now. So bring your biggest problem. They all come to the staff meeting, they all sit at their tables, and they just go around the table. Sometimes I do all the infants together, the toddlers, the preschool and pre-K. Sometimes I literally blow the whole thing up and mix them up into groups they normally would not connect with during the day a lot. And that helps form those relationships. It deepens my culture at my childcare center. Another component that you probably do this already is your professional development. You probably already bring in professional development in. It could be someone that's a speaker, depending on where you live. Sometimes there's resources to bring people in. Sometimes we'll watch a video on YouTube. Like a speaker that I love to listen to is Brenna Richards, like on behavior. She always has great YouTube videos. So I will share Brenna's YouTube video. We'll watch it together. I'm huge on breathing in the classroom and teaching children mental health skills. And so you will find that that's good to bring into your center. So we'll all watch Brenna talk about ways to bring breathing into our child care centers, how it benefits the kids' mental health, how it can just like help you if you're having a bad day and you're like, oh, I just need a second to breathe, right? And we'll watch that. And then we'll talk about, okay, like we're going to start doing this. How are we going to do it? So when we did this at our center, we were like, okay, every day at 9, 11:30, right before lunch, and at 3 o'clock, we're going to do breathing exercises across the whole center. And then we talk about the struggles, like, well, that won't work for me because of this or that. And have those conversations, because when we all come to professional development and we just listen to the speaker and walk away with the handouts, that isn't always beneficial. I'm 1000% about implementation. So if you can have a staff meeting where you're talking about PD, whatever your topic is, and also follow it up with a short discussion on how to implement it, and maybe even at the next staff meeting say, hey, we talked about breathing last month. Let's talk about how's it going? How can we make it easier for you? How is it benefiting you? Where are you struggling with it? And really having some deeper conversations across the center. Let's see. let me see, someone had a question. According to what I understood, staff meetings are not training. Can we use these meetings for, that is going to depend on your state that you're in. So I'm in Massachusetts. So in Massachusetts, we are allowed to, if you're a licensed director or director 1 or 2, you can train your staff and sign off on a half hour or an hour or however many hours. And that's in Mass. You should ask your licensor if that is allowed with that. All right. And the last piece of it is like, how many of you, if you are in a group childcare center, have meetings with your lead teachers about how they're helping to mentor the other teachers and the floats? We had a huge shift in early education during COVID. Not only did all the big things come out, but one of the things happened is we had a mass exodus of teachers in the field. And we are now rebuilding, and we have been rebuilding for a while. And one good way to rebuild is by developing the leadership team that you have. And every classroom that you have probably most likely have someone that's in charge of that room or someone that has a ton of experience. So find a way, like this is what I love to do, is at the end of a staff meeting, I like to send everybody home except my leads and have a good meeting with them about, okay, I want to see more active teaching in the classrooms. I'm noticing some of the floats standing around. Like, what can I do to support you to get them engaged? And they might say, oh, I'm really struggling. Anytime I redirect her, she doesn't do that. And we all collaborate on how to help redirect that person. Or maybe the leadership needs to get involved in a subtle way to support that. So you can use this opportunity at the staff meeting to develop so many things in your center to help you with your team. So I told you in the beginning, I was given the most amazing advice that I didn't know until probably about 10 years ago, that start with the end in mind. I always start with the end in mind when I'm planning any staff meeting, any project. When I did the Directors Club, I started because of this little girl. So think about your next staff meeting. What do you need to start with? So here's an example of a staff meeting. So let's just say in this staff meeting, we're going to hit all the problems that we're having. Okay. So I'm going to do a half hour of administrative topics, no more. And then I'm going to divide the bulk of the time into team meetings. So if you know your teams haven't had time to talk and they have big problems, I break them all into their teams. I make sure all the floats are where they need to be and put them in the groups that they're usually in. And then they'll dive into whatever problems they're having and the support that they need. And I'm walking the room the whole time, stopping in every single group, listening to what they're saying, getting the ideas from them, listening to the problems that they're having so I can take that back and figure out how I can be a better leader to them. Then after that 45 minutes, we're going to break into a collaboration or a professional development time. So you could come out with a collaboration on curriculum. Maybe you talk about like ways you can get the curriculum more in the classroom. We could talk about active teaching, like, okay, we don't stand and lifeguard the room. We're here to support the kids and educate them. So think of something that you can do that way. And then we end it with a 15-minute, like quick little wrap up. I always do some fun or I'll call out some great things. At my school, we write notes to each other and hang them in the lobby. And so I'll grab some of those notes before the staff meeting, or to make my life easier, I might say to all the team leaders, everybody bring one good thing that happened in your classroom so you can call someone out, and we'll end it that way. So we're all participating in different ways to do that. Another example of a staff meeting that you could have, again, is like your time, you're breaking your time out. This is called time blocking. One thing I love to teach about was time blocking. So this one is an idea to help you with the professional development. So again, you're just doing a quick admin meeting, quick team meeting, and then the bulk of it, an hour and 20 minutes into something. That could be a video that you watch. I love podcasts. I think podcasts are like so valuable to us because it's like quick one topic, and usually you get to hear from an expert, right? And so I might find a podcast that I want everyone to listen to. And then from that, we'll break out into small group discussions and really find ways that we're going to implement it in the classroom. This is also a great way, like it's so hard if you lead a center from infant through pre-K because professional development is so different across the ages. And so I might pick a podcast for the infants, a podcast for the toddlers, and a podcast for the preschool and the pre-K. And then they're all doing their things and they've listened to it. They're talking through how they're going to apply it. I always put a lead in that group that's kind of leading that discussion. I'm floating around the room the whole time. And then we all come back and we share like one big aha that we got from that and how we're going to implement it. And then end it with some type of fun or something. And you'll notice here on the right, we're not collaborating. We're not doing any leadership development. You're not taking any of these 6 components and putting them all into one meeting. You could do it if you had a whole professional development day. You could plan it this exact same way and put all the components. But typically, you're starting with the end in mind. Like, what do you think would be the most impactful to your team today if they came to a staff meeting that would benefit them and save you time in your normal day-to-day life? That's what you should be thinking about. Another quick example is, again, the collaboration. Like I said, you can just do the quick admin and team, jump into collaboration for an hour and 15, and then end it with some group shares and a wrap up. So this one, I love this one. This is one of my favorites. I do this one twice a year. And this is, again, like I told you, lead teacher training. So I'm doing a really quick admin, professional development for the team. I might just review some health and safety policies, quick team meeting, shout outs, and then I'm sending everybody home except the leads. And the last hour from 7:05 to 8, we're really digging into leadership skills. What can I teach them in an hour that maybe they need to learn to have difficult conversations, how to redirect somebody, how to classroom management, how to stay on top of some of those things, biggest struggles with that. So this really is a good way for you to just like really dig into those leaders that will help you during the day with some of your questions that they get. So inside the, you're going to get from them you're going to get my staff meeting agenda. And the reason why I do that is so that you can plan out what you should talk about at every session and what times they should go. You should always make sure that you're time blocking. I always have my phone out looking at the clock. If you're not good at time blocking yet, you can ask someone in the group, hey, this section's only 30 minutes, set alarm for 30 minutes. By the time that goes off, you're ending it and jumping into the next one so that you just keep it moving so that you can get the most out of the 2 hours. And it makes the time go by really fast for the team as well. So throughout the year, I kind of think about what am I going to teach this year? And I don't just like show up at a staff meeting with a list of admin things because I want to be really strategic about what I talk about. So, think about like we do in February, we have a nurse that comes and she does CPR and first aid every single February. You can think about emergency preparedness, progress reports, like different topics you could hit every single month. You'll see I'm doing a leadership development here. You can do a team building. Anything you can think of that could help you during the year. And I'm going to show you, I think I'll show you, let me just see where I'm at. No, I'm going to show you something right now that I just started. So in Massachusetts, they just came out with, and I think this has something to do with some type of federal regulation. They just came out with that May 1st, we had to have a very robust emergency preparedness plan to the fact that I need 2 locations to I can walk to and drive to with 134 kids and no bus. wish me luck, right? So it's 91 pages is my emergency preparedness manual. And I go over everything you can possibly imagine in it. Not only did the state give us a guideline, but then we had company policies I had to interweave into it. So I did that. And then I have to certify that my entire staff has learned it. And it's mostly stuff that we all know anyways, but how am I going to seriously certify that? So we started talking about how are we going to teach our educators on these things. And my sister, I own the center with my sister. And so her and I sat down and talked about all the different regulations, and it's all written into paragraph form. So I got onto AI because I love AI to benefit us. And what I did was I got on here and I was like, okay, I need to teach them how to evacuate from here. We have evacuation maps. We have the policy. We talk through it. We do drills every month, right? So I went into AI and I just took my evacuation policy that I'd written. It was only a couple pages. And I put it into AI and I said to myself, I said to AI, create me a visual, quick guide where someone could learn this policy visually. And it created this, and I almost fell off my chair. I was like, thank you for helping me. Because I was like, this is so helpful. So now if you like look at my big board, this is how I organize all my projects into Mila. It's called Mila Note. Oh, so no, this one's not about emergency preparedness, but I can come back and do that. But this is my emergency preparedness for my center. And so this is what I'm showing you is each section, right? You're going to download just the words from your manual, from your guide, put it into Chat GPT or Claude or Gemini, whatever you use, and ask for it to create you a quick guide. So then we got to the next step. I'm like, okay, we're at staff meetings all the time. And what happens at staff meetings is I could read the evacuation plan. I could read lockdown. Let me see what else is over here. I could read emergency. People are not going to remember it. So I have this guide now, and I also know they throw things away, right? So what we did was we went out and bought 35 binders, 1-inch binders. And I didn't actually buy them. We got them at a donation place. Well, we did buy them from them, but they were so cheap. And we have created 35 binders. And I'm like, why are we just leaving it at emergency preparedness? So now anytime I'm having a staff meeting and I'm training on a policy or procedure, anything to do with compliance, curriculum, the kit, anything, I'm creating these quick guides and they're all in a binder. So at the staff meeting now, we're just saying, grab your binder, grab a binder, so because they're all generic, and we just might go to a medical emergency for this month, depending on what your 12-month plan is and what you're talking about your staff meeting. And we've been doing this now just 2 months, and the staff is telling me that they love this much better than us like reading through a policy or procedure. And so we had some really great discussions. Like we just did abuse and neglect. I don't know if I have that one, but up here, but we just did abuse and neglect. And then you can see down here, for everyone, I created quizzes. So I'm reading quiz questions and we're talking through some of the quizzes. And this is all AI generated. I'm not talented at all in graphic design. So that is just like a simple way that you can take some of these things that you have to do and train your staff on. You're like, what am I going to go? You don't always have to buy a training. You could use any resources that you have access to and create something for your team that you can use over and over again, because we all know we don't have any brand new topics, right? That typically we talk about at our staff meetings. They're topics we always should be talking about. So think about what a 12-month staff meeting plan could look like, and kind of plug and play. Like December, like I never put anything on it because we always have our Christmas party. But other times of the year, I do put the same typical things. All right, so just to wrap up this process. So you first develop a plan to host staff meetings. If you're not hosting them and you want to, it is going to be a big stretch for your team at first. But once they start and they start seeing that collaboration, problems are getting solved, maybe they're not as stressed in the classroom, they're going to want to come to those. And to see that on my staff survey, I was like, they're working. Like, I don't want to be here till 8 o'clock at night when I got here at 6:30, but guess what? And so a thing we have to do, and seriously, staff meetings are your most valuable asset in your leadership toolkit ever. Your second step is to start with the end in mind. Don't just walk into a staff meeting with an agenda and you want to tell them all the things they need to fix, because like the list is long. We all know that some days, right? But start with the end in mind. What could help my staff right now? What benefit could happen? Today in my leadership meeting with my program directors, we sat and talked about June staff meeting where we have some technical assistance papers we're going to go through, but we're like, really would they be beneficial? And we came up with, some of them are struggling like just to keep up with curriculum. So we're going to break down curriculum to make it easier for them, hopefully next month. And then host your staff meeting, do whatever you can to make it engaging. And when people are moving around doing different things and talking to different people, it really does invigorate them. And then I always say this, and I'm going to give you a little bonus I don't typically talk about in here, but for the next month, from staff meeting to staff meeting, walk around your center and point the things out that they were talking about. Like, call them out on it. Oh, I love it. You said that at the staff meeting, that you guys were struggling with your transition during rest from outdoor time into lunch, let's say. And now look at you guys. You work through it. It's working better. Or if you heard a problem someone had, walk in the classroom and say, I heard you had that problem. Like, how's it going? Have you seen any improvement? What have you tried? And have those conversations to reinforce the skills. You're going to find that you have better employees, more engaged employees when you implement a staff meeting like this. And this is something that I teach in Take Back Your Day, but I think it's super important, and I kind of just hit on it. Every morning, typically, the director of the center walks around the center and they check in with people and they check the kids and they do all the things that we typically do. But start your day tomorrow start your day tomorrow by being more intentional with your morning walkthrough. So obviously, you're going to do a good morning. Like, I do a social check-in really quick. I'm like, how you doing? How was your weekend? How'd the party go? How was the graduation? All the things. The next thing I do is I discuss goals with them. What goals do you need to meet today? What are you working on today that you're worried about? And try and get them talking about, like today when I did a walkthrough, we have a student that is autistic and he struggles at rest time. So today they're trying two different things. They're trying he has a bin that he has to earn, because in math, they have to sit quietly for 45, and I'm like, he cannot sit quietly for 45 minutes. So we're going to give him his bin immediately today. And then we're also going to make sure that he has his water bottle with him, because he always wants to drink water. And usually it's on the other side of the room. So I said that to one of my class. I said, what goals do you need today that you're going to meet? They're like, oh, we're going to try this with him today. And I'm like, good for you. Tomorrow, I'm going to be walking up to them and saying, how'd it go? Did it help having that there? What else could we do to support him? Because that's just going to support their rest time so that he can, have an enjoyable, calm rest time versus getting elevated. Next thing I like to say is offer support. What do you need from me today? What do you need from me today is so important, because what happens all day as a director is we're constantly getting called in the office. I need help. I need you to come here. Oh, I ran out of this. I need this. It's all day long. And we want to be there for our employees. I always want to be there for them. But they interrupt all day long, plus all the bathroom breaks. So we know how that goes. So I asked them right then and there, what do you need from me today? Do you need anything right now? Sometimes they're like, oh, I need paper towels, or I need to go to the bathroom, or I'm really worried about the parent picking up or something. So I know what they're worried about, and I know I can help them. Next thing I do is I cheer them on. I know you got this. I'm so excited that you guys really work together to brainstorm ways to help him at rest or whatever the problem is. And I try to cheer them on for the day. I have a club that, in the directors club, the people that belong to it, and one of them calls it a cheerleading time, which I just think it's so amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so, I think that's important that you give them that cheerleading time. The last thing that I do, which I think is super important, is I like to focus on when I need my door closed. So I cannot possibly be a good businesswoman, a good leader of my childcare center if everyone's in my office all day and then at night and weekends I'm at home working. So I need time during the day. I always take 2 hours a day minimum to myself, where I don't answer phones, emails, I don't help in the classrooms. I let everybody know, because if you think about a preschool classroom, if they're teaching circle, who's walking up to them and asking them questions, asking them for a bathroom break? No one's doing that. We're letting her get through her circle, and then we're talking to her. So I set boundaries with the team, and I say to them, I am going to be focused from 10 to 11 and 1 to 2. I always try and pick times out that are not going to like burden anybody. I'm never going to pick a time like 8 to 9 when it's like heavy parent drop off, or 4 to 5. I'm also not going to pick times where I know my staff typically needs me, which for some odd reason they're always calling between 2:30 and 3:30. So I'm never going to pick that. So let them know. So when you're walking around your center, be a little bit intentional about it. Think about that staff meeting. What are the good things that came out of that staff meeting? What do you want to reinforce? You know, it could even be like when you go up to a classroom, and I say to them, oh, what are your goals today? And they're like, or what support do you need? And if I'm going to bring it up because I heard it. Well, I heard at staff meeting that you're really struggling at rest time with him. Did you try any of the strategies? Oh, well, oh, we didn't. Okay, well, what one can we try today? Encourage them, point out what they learned, and start connecting it inside of the classroom. Let's see what else. So that is what I want to share with you on there. And then this, we all know, I just told you that I have I created the podcast for my teachers, and I share it with you because there is not a lot of training out there for teachers that is specific to some of the things that we all deal with in the classrooms. So I take all my teachers' goals every year. I have a partner, Isa, that teaches with me, and we both rotate off of the Teachers Lounge. So Teachers Lounge, you're going to hear podcasts that I'm listening to in my center, or that I meet a director and she's like, oh my gosh, this happened. We were just at the Early Education Empowerment Conference in Rhode Island when a bunch of teachers during my presentation were telling me that they're struggling with swearing in the classroom. So this week, a swearing podcast came out. So I get inspired by you. So if you ever have a podcast that you're like, oh my gosh, please write one about this, you just message us and we'll take care of it. My most downloaded podcast is Why Don't We Use Cell Phones in the Classrooms? If we have a teacher on her cell phone all the time, we can write them up and they just keep going back on it. I make them listen to that podcast and then come back with 3 ways they're going to apply it in the classroom. I also use it in my orientation. Listen to this podcast as part of your orientation and come back to me with the importance of not using a cell phone in the classroom. So the Teachers Lounge podcast is for you to do whatever you want with it. And if you have a topic, I would love to help you with it.